Omilos Filathlon Irakleiou 1925 is a Greek association football club based in Heraklion on the island of Crete, outside Greece. The club is generally known as OFI Crete. However, the name Crete is not actually part of the club's official title. The team competes in Gamma Ethniki, the third division of the Greek football league system, and hosts home games at the Theodoros Vardinogiannis Stadium.OFI is the Cretan club with most appearances in the Greek First Division. It has won one Greek Cup and one Balkans Cup, while they have competed 7 times in UEFA competitions. History. The foundation. The club was founded during the autumn of 1925 by a group of athletes that used to exercise in a specific gym in the city of Heraklion. The official name given to the sports club was Omilos Filathlon Irakleiou. The colors that OFI used were black and white, because none of the existing sports clubs had the same color combination in Crete. The scope of the sport club, as had been written down in the first deed of association, was to participate in all kinds of events and exhibitions related to athletics. During the first period of OFI's existence, most of the team's founders were also members. The years before World War II to the years preceding World War II were a very difficult period not only for Crete but for Greece in general. Thus, it was extremely difficult for OFI to travel and participate in national football tournaments. As a result, OFI was limited to matches around the island of Crete, and particularly with other football clubs based in Heraklion. Strangely enough, these local matches were more frequent in comparison to the official ones of former periods. Even though official documentation does not exist, elderly fans of OFI believe that the team played around 400 matches before the Germans finally occupied Crete. First participation in the National League after the German occupation of Greece had ended. Football tournaments around the country started again. At this time there was only the First Division Championship, in which standard football teams from Athens and Thessaloniki participated, including a few teams which qualified through preliminary rounds. However, it was almost impossible for a team coming from the province to take part in it. This situation arose because the Hellenic Football Federation structured a system in which football teams from around the country had to play many preliminary rounds before proceeding to the national championship. As a result, even though OFI was the top football team in Crete, they could not take part in the national tournament. After 1956, the system in Greece changed slightly. Advantages were that in some seasons the preliminary rounds were organized in groups of a few teams, where the champions of each group were promoted directly to the championship of the same season's First Division. One of those seasons was in 1957-58. OFI played preliminary games in a group of 4 teams, where they finished in first place. Thus, OFI, for the first time in its history, participated in the Greek National Championship. However, the team could not stand the frequent trips around Greece and finished in last position. Up to 1962, when the official Second Division Championship was organized, OFI tried again many times but unsuccessfully to take part in the competition of the First Division again. Attempts in the official Second League in 1962-63, the official Greek Second Division League was set up for first time. OFI was one of the teams that participated in the league and completed the season in 9th position. In 1963-64 and 1964-65, OFI finished in 3rd and 5th position respectively. In 1965-66, OFI were the champions of the Second Division of Greek football and only one step away from promotion to the official First first national division of Greek football. Yet, the Hellenic Football Federation decided that even the champions of the second division had to play preliminary games in order to be promoted. OFI lost in the playoff matches and remained in the second division. In 1966-67 the disappointment was huge, even though OFI ended in third position. Everyone on the island of Crete was feeling that the moment where they could see the pride of their island in the top league was very close. In 1967-68 OFI finished in second position and went into playoff games with the bottom team of the first division. The final match of the playoffs was to take place in the city of Hania on the 26th of June 1968. OFI, with the help of 10,000 Cretans, thrashed the team from the first division with a 3-0 win and made the dreams of thousands of supporters come true. OFI was an official member of the first national division. Debut in the First League. OFI's debut in the national First Division was very difficult. Omilos ended the first round in 15th position. It was a very difficult task to remain in the league. However, in the second round the Cretans played magnificently and finally finished in 12th place. In the next season OFI had already gained the experience of playing in the top league of Greek football. The Snakes finished in 13th place, but the strange thing was that OFI remained unbeaten in almost all of the home games in Heraklion. Only 2 teams managed to survive and leave Crete with an away win. Thus, even if OFI was not a feared opponent, all the other teams were anxious when taking the trip to the island of Crete. 1970-71 was the worst season the team from Heraklion ever had in the first division. OFI ended in 17th position and was relegated for the last time in the history to the second division. The whole season was a tragedy for the Cretans. OFI had to meet old friends from the second division again and start battling again in order to be promoted for a second time. Back to the second league, OFI had been relegated again, but this time the second division had changed entirely. After all, the championship had been more officially organized and opponents were tougher than before. OFI spent another 5 seasons in the second division, from 1971-72 to 1975-76. During the first season, the team was continually in first place. However, at the end of the season, OFI's good performances deteriorated and they finally finished 4th. In 1972-73 the management decided on a complete overhaul of the squad. In these circumstances, the 13th position OFI achieved was predictable, yet a new era of the stars of OFI had just begun. In the next season OFI finished 6th and in 1974-75 they finished 5th. In the next season the league was divided again into 2 groups, each of 20 teams. The champions of each group would be promoted directly to the first national division. OFI couldn't afford to miss this chance. Everything started perfectly for Omilos in 1975-76. They finished first at the end of the first round with a huge lead over the runners-up and then finished the season as champions. The whole island of Crete was celebrating the promotion of OFI to the first division. Up to the present, OFI have never been relegated again. The years before the arrival of Eugene Gerrits, during the first 3 seasons of OFI's presence in the first division, the Greek championship still had an amateur status. In 1976-77, even though OFI were rookies, they finished in 6th place and gained the admiration of the whole country. In addition, Dimitris Papadopoulos finished the top goal scorer of the league season. The following 2 seasons OFI finished 8th and 7th respectively, a period in which OFI was never once defeated in Crete. Even the heavyweights of the league struggled to win any points when making the trip to the Gentikoul on island of Crete. The championship in Greece was professionalized for the 1979-80 season, and in the middle of that term the Vardinogiannis Group bought the football club of OFI. During that season the only team that beat OFI at home in Crete was Panathinaikos. The Athenian team took the victory in Heraklion extremely easily with a scoreline of 0-3. It was the only loss endured by Cretans on the island. That year, after all games had been completed, OFI finished in 11th position. The next season Panathinaikos embarked on the first set of experiments on OFI. Young players came from all over the country in order to play for Omilos. Partly because of this experimentation by the new owners, OFI only managed 13th position in the league. The 1981-82 campaign saw OFI finish in 9th place in the following 1982-83 season in 7th. It seemed clear that Theodoros Vardinogiannis wanted OFI to be a stronger team in the championship. He tried to achieve that, not by spending money for good players, but by sending second-hand players from his other team Panathinaikos, young players that could possibly be useful to OFI, but primarily for Panathinaikos in the future when the time was right. Thus, in 1983-84, 3 goalkeepers, 1 midfielder and 1 defender came from the Athenian team to Crete. The continuing experimentation caused OFI to be disappointed yet again. OFI finished in 8th place, exactly the same position they finished next season too. Although OFI's results were not wonderful, this group of fresh players had gained experience and started to play like a team. The one thing that was missing was a good coach who could get the best out of each player. This man arrived the following season. The Gerard's years. Eugene Gerard stayed in Crete as coach of OFI for a legendary 15 years. This is still the record tenure for a coach in the Greek league, and will be a feat that lives long in the memory of Cretans. Gerard's first 3 years at the helm in Crete were nothing short of amazing. In 1985-86 OFI finished second in the league and only missed out on becoming champions by 5 points. Gerard's continued his revolution with a third-place finish in 1986-87 and fourth place in 1987-88. As Gerard's OFI continued to achieve high finishes in the Greek Championship, the team from Crete did something wonderful. The 21st of June 1987. In the Olympic Stadium in Athens they defeated Heraklion 3-1 on penalties, winning the Greek Cup. The game had finished 1-1 after regular and extra time. With string league position and victorious in the Cup, OFI was at the time one of the major players in Greek football. The 1987-88 season was special for Cretans for another reason too. It was the first time in league history that OFI finished in a higher position than Panathinaikos, beating them 2-1 in Heraklion on the way, with a goal in last minute from Stefanos Vavoulas. This golden era also saw OFI participate in European competition, UEFA Cup 1986 and UEFA Cup Winners' Cup 1987. The following seasons were not quite as spectacular as what had gone before. OFI finished 6th, 7th and 6th respectively, missing UEFA Cup qualification by a few points each year. In June 1990 OFI played one once again in the final of the Greek Cup, this time against Olympiakos. The game took place in Olympiakos' home stadium and OFI lost 4-2. In June 1991, OFI played in the final of the Pre-Mediterranean Cup against AEK Athens. The game took place in Georgios Kamaras Stadium and OFI lost 1-0. During the last of those 3 seasons, OFI brought a young Argentinian star to Crete, Victor Hugo Delgado. However, there was little time for Cretans to enjoy the benefits of his talent as he was soon transferred to Panathinaikos. In the 1992-93 campaign, OFI was in great form once again. OFI finished 4th in the championship and qualified for the following season's UEFA Cup tournament. The season's great star for OFI was Nikos Niarpias. At the end of the previous season, the Vardinogiannis family decided that he might become useful to Panathinaikos, so he became the 3rd player to move to Athens from OFI. Without the team's great star, OFI only managed a 7th place finish in the 1993-94 championship. But despite those facts, the name of OFI was heard loud and clear all around Europe. That season, OFI achieved the unthinkable. They eliminated Slavia Prague in the first round of the UEFA Cup and Atletico Madrid in the second round. Nobody in Europe could believe that an unknown quantity like OFI could ever knock out of Europe such illustrious opposition. The famous cup run came to an end when OFI was eliminated in the 3rd round by Portuguese club Boa Vista. Despite the disappointment, there was pride for Cretans to be taken in that the team was the most successful Greek team in European competition that season. In 1994-95, Panathinaikos were in dire need of a striker, and OFI had 2 top-rated strikers from the previous season, Nikos Maklas and Alexis Alekoudis. Even though Panathinaikos wanted Maklas, he himself refused to go to Athens, and as a result, Panathinaikos grabbed Alekoudis. OFI ended in the 9th position this year. In the next season, Eugene Gerrards tried to build a new team with young players, yet the Dutchman had lost 2 great players to Panathinaikos and Nikos Maklas was transferred to Vitesse Arnhem. OFI finished 5th and missed qualification for the UEFA Cup in the last game of the season. 1996-97 was an amazing season for Omilos. With the participation of Nikos Niarpias, OFI was on 2nd place before the winter break and 4 of the players were part of the Greek national team. On the last day of the transfer period, Panathinaikos grabbed Kostas Konstantinidis, the best defender of OFI's squad. Finally, OFI finished 3rd in the championship by humiliating Panathinaikos 1 week before the end and leaving the team from Athens in 5th place, outside the positions leading to UEFA competitions. The whole island of Crete was again celebrating the great performance of OFI. In the next 2 seasons, OFI finished in 7th and 8th position respectively, suffering constant humiliations by Panathinaikos in matches between the two, as revenge for what happened in May 1997. In addition to that, Kostas Kiassos, a great OFI midfielder, was the next victim and was transferred to Panathinaikos. Nevertheless, OFI resumed the successful UEFA Cup campaigns. The Pride of Crete eliminated Icelandic team KR Reykjavik in the 2nd qualifying round and Hungarian team Ferencváros in the 1st round proper. OFI's European dream was ended by Ajax in the 2nd round of the UEFA Cup. In the year 2000 and after 15 successful years, Eugene Gerrards announced his retirement from OFI's bench as the team finished 4th in the championship. It was the last time that OFI gained a position that led to European competitions, and the last season that OFI was considered one of the top teams in Greece. The new era, the new century found OFI unstable and close to relegation almost every year. While Neoplias and Maklas retired, the team partly suffered from a series of bad rosters and managers. In 2001, OFI really struggled to remain to the first league. The next 2 years, OFI managed to play a little better, thus avoiding low positions easier. But then the dark years came. OFI avoided relegation every year, for 1 or 2 points difference. President Theodoros Vardinogiannis appointed German Rainer Maurer as a coach in the summer of 2006. Maurer had the team playing greater football, even competing for a European place since the Gerrards era. In the 2007 summer, OFI played in the Intertoto Cup, but underperformed. The 2007-08 season found the club fighting to avoid relegation once again, and Maurer was sacked. Yorgos Paraschos was brought as a temporary manager, and he was eventually replaced by Czech František Straka before the start of the new season. In 2009, OFI suffered from the bad presidency of Theodoros Vardinogiannis, who was asked by the fans to leave the club. Furthermore, former player Maklas offered a great amount of money in order to purchase the team. OFI started with awful results. Straka was dismissed and Ioannis Matsourakis came to fill his position. During the 2008-09 season, OFI struggled to remain to the Greek Super League, but failed and is in fact relegated to the second division after finishing 16th. Since relegation, OFI has gone into meltdown. Once the season had ended, the majority of the club's senior players filed claims against club president Theodoros Vardinogiannis for hundreds of thousands of euros in unpaid wages. As the non-payment of wages was also a breach of contract, many of them also freed themselves from the professional contracts with the club and sought new teams for the forthcoming season. Rivalry with Heraklion. OFI has enjoyed a fierce rivalry with other local Super League side, Heraklion. The first ever game between Heraklion and OFI, a friendly match in 1929, ended after 35 minutes. Heraklion were ahead by 1 goal, when the game had to be abandoned after violence between the players broke out. Under the Greek military junta of 1967 to 1974, a legislation determined that every regional Greek city should be represented by 1 football team. At the time, both OFI and Heraklion used to play in the second national division, Alpha T. The end of the 1966-1967 season, Heraklion finished 8th, while OFI finished in a higher position, leading to Heraklion relegation. The legislation also allowed the remaining teams in the second division to sign players of the relegated ones, and thus 5 Heraklion players were transferred to OFI. In the years to come, Heraklion languished in the lower leagues. This led to various controversies, especially since Heraklion comeback at the early 2000s. This rivalry has shown signs of diminishing over the years, with OFI fans attending newly promoted Heraklion games in the Super League during the club's first season in the competition, and Heraklion loaning the long-time scoring legend Patrick Agansot to a financially weakened Beta Ethniki side OFI for no fee, as an attempt to assist the latter in the struggle to once again return to the Super League. Current squad. Note: flags indicate national team as defined under FIFA eligibility rules. Players may hold more than 1 non-FIFA nationality. Club officials. Board of Directors. President Antipas Safakis. Vice President Yanis Palemarchakis. Director of Football Yorgos Vlastos. Coaching and AMP Medical Staff. Team Manager Myronis Safakis. Manager Nikos Neoplias. Assistant Manager Thanasis Kolotsidakis. Goalkeeping Coach Eleftherios Paupakis. Club Doctor. Vacant. Club doctor, vacant. Physiotherapist, vacant. Physiotherapist, vacant. Fitness coach, vacant. Conditioning coach, vacant. Chief Scout, Eugene Gerrits. Director of Youth Academy, Eugene Gerrits. Titles and AMP honors. Gamma Ethniki winners 2015-16, Greek Cup winners runners-up 1989-90, Balkans Cup winners 1989, Alpha Ethniki runners-up 1985-86, Greek Super Cup runners-up 1987, all the European Games. Managerial history, statistics.